Hi, I am the LOC for today's debate topic. The United States federal government should pass the Freedom Dividend, issuing a monthly check for $1,000 for every American over the age of 18, regardless of income or employment status, and funding for the plan will come through a value-added tax and other normal means. The first thing I want to bring up is something my opponent mentioned, which was that people were becoming homeless because they couldn't pay their rent. He also mentioned that people were also unable to afford their food. So there's a couple of things I want to say about this. The first thing is that people are becoming too reliant on government aid, and I will go more into detail on this in a little bit. But but for now, I'm going to talk about how people can't afford the food. So first off, there's already a government aid program that solves this issue, which is food stamps. So food stamps feed 42 million Americans, which is roughly 13% of the United States population, and it costs the United States federal government $80 billion to do so in the year 2020. So that is one way that the United States federal government has already aided those lower class people is through food stamps. And there are plenty more different programs that have helped the lower class people. My opponent also mentioned how people couldn't afford gas prices, and he said that the Freedom Dividend would help that problem because it would give people $1,000 they need to pay for gas. So the main issue I have with that is in order to provide the federal government with the money to give to all of these people to help them pay for the gas prices, a lot of it, or all of it, will come from taxing. And one of the items that is very heavily taxed is gas prices. So to make matters worse, the Freedom Dividend would actually increase gas prices, which is something that my opponent mentioned was already a problem, especially here in California where gas prices are incredibly high. So now I'm going to talk about just a couple of reasons just why the Freedom Dividend is bad. So the first thing, as I mentioned earlier, people are relying too much on government aid. And there are a lot of government aid programs, and I'll list a couple. So they have unemployment, they have food stamps, which I mentioned earlier, they have stimulus checks, which are used for people at the end of the year to get some money back for lower class members. And then as of recently, there's been like vaccines, like providing for vaccines to give to people for COVID. And there's so many more, there are so many minor programs that they only apply in specific scenarios, but all of them compounded, it's a lot. It's a lot that the government provides, and it's a lot of different programs that are provided to everyone, mainly the lower class people. So people are becoming way too dependent, and if for some reason people aren't able to pay the rent with how much the government also already helps them out for, the Freedom Dividend is not going to make a difference. It's not going to change any way. And if anything, it's actually going to eliminate some of the incentive to work, because working gets you money, and $1,000 a month means, hey, I don't have to work because I'm getting money for free. So there's that. And then the last thing, which really is really shocking, is how much money that this actually costs to fund. So the amount of money it would cost for the Freedom Dividend to actually pass is $2.5 trillion, which is a lot. And to put that into perspective, the United States federal government, its current budget is $4.79 trillion. So 4.79, and would cost 2.5 trillion just to fund this. So the Freedom Dividend, if it were to pass, would increase the United States federal government by more than 50%. Which what this also means is that taxes for everything, including gas prices, which my opponent mentioned earlier are already crazy high. So taxes for everything would also be increased by more than 50%, which is bad. So if that doesn't put a red flag for why the Freedom Dividend is bad, I don't know what will. That is what I have to say about this topic.